nice to have a good crowd out here, like David said, and we've had this conversation with a few of you. It's nice to see a lot of people that are interested in politics and coming out and talking to us. So thank you again. But I wanted to say that I am Tom McMasters. I am a candidate for Ohio's 10th Congressional District. I'm a fiscal conservative that believes that we need to reduce the debt in order to lay the foundation of prosperity for us and our children. In simpler terms, this means that we cannot have a budget of $3.8 trillion when $1.3 trillion of that money is borrowed. But tonight I'm going to forego my bio in order to talk about tax policy and the Federal Reserve, and tell you that it's time to tell Congress that when the time is right, they need to regulate inflation through a smart tax code instead of relying on the Federal Reserve to do it by raising interest rates. This is a subject that I've written about previously on my old websites, but I haven't quite brought it forward yet in my campaign website. But for those of you that know about the Federal Reserve, you know that one of their missions is to keep inflation low. And the chief way that they do this is by raising interest rates. The theory is that inflation is caused because there's too much money and too many people that want to buy things and not enough things to go around. In other words, inflation is caused because supply is less than the demand. One of the ways to get rid of the demand and inflation is to make it so that the businesses and people don't have money. This may seem like a peculiar topic for me to discuss, since most people are still worried about the recession. However, this is the best time for this discussion because we have to make sure the government makes a different decision than they would normally make. This is the time for this discussion because I believe that we are about to come out of the recession, probably within the next 4 to 6 months. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be housing foreclosures for years to come, and the corresponding housing low prices like that. But the banks have ridden out the storm. They are no longer in stabilization mode. They are in look for profits mode. Car makers are hiring people again, selling cars, and we're generally getting good feelings about the economy out in the business world. In fact, this week, a lot of the articles that you see on Yahoo Finance and MSNBC, and the corresponding NBC program that's business, is that when is the Fed going to start raising interest rates in order to slow down the economy? All right, these are the discussions that we're having now, like that. But using interest rates to do this is not the way that we should be managing or throttling back the economy when that time comes. If and when we decide it's necessary to tackle inflation and manage the economy, then Congress should do this through the tax code. Using the tax code will help us lower the deficit. Using interest rates to do the same thing only protects big business and throttles innovation. If you look at what happened when we use interest rates to stop, you end up stopping competitions, and you see that the biggest companies are the ones that are still likely to qualify for the loans. The people that can't get the loans are the ones that have the ideas. This forces the little guy to either go out of business or to sell to the big companies. If we use the tax code instead, who is it that gets taxed? It's the big companies. But the biggest reason that I want to make sure that we use the tax code instead of interest rates is because when the Fed uses interest rates, it takes money out of the economy and it gives it to the banks. But when we use a tax code, the country gets the revenue and we get to pay off some of the debt. I know many of you, it still seems peculiar to start planning for when the economy is booming again. But the time for planning the next crisis and the time for planning the next boom is now, before they occur. Yes, I'm thrilled that last month the President finally promoted the housing refinance program that I outlined in 2009. And I'm really happy this is in ancient Greece, where they fed hemlock to the visionaries. But if we want good government and smart policy, we have to become educated about government policy and decide to put people in Congress that understand the past and look to the future. I believe I'm the right person for Congress now, and I appreciate your vote on March 6th and again in November. Thank you.